Hey guys, it's me, Joy, and today I'm making sour cream enchiladas. So they should be really good. So let's get started. Okay? Hope you guys are doing good where you are. So what I'm doing here is I have some green pepper, some white onion, half a white onion, half a purple onion. Ooh, listen to that sizzle. Might have a little too high. A half a jalapeno, and a tomato. So I've got half a white onion, half a purple onion, half of jalapeno, and a tomato. And I'm just going to cook these a little bit, saute them a little bit before I put them in the enchiladas. Because the enchiladas take about 30 minutes to bake. And, the cheese gets all melty and stuff. But the vegetables don't usually get done enough. So I like to cook them down a little bit first. So while these are cooking, right here, oh, it smells fabulous. I'm going to put a lid on it because it helps it sweat a little faster. While these are cooking, I've got some chicken breasts that I boiled in chicken broth yesterday. So we're going to take at least 2 of these puppies, we'll see, and maybe more. And we're going to cut them down and see what happens. So I've got my handy chopper. Yeah. So let's see if you can see that better. Yeah, it's better. Yeah. So you're just going to chop them up. I put them in the refrigerator overnight, so they're cold now, right now. And it won't hurt them any. Because we're going to add the warm vegetables to them. So it's going to make it, room temperature. So. And this will make probably 12 to 14 medium-sized enchiladas. It depends on the size of your tortillas, I guess. And how much filling you put in each one. You could make it go farther if you needed to. Or you could just make it you could use 1 chicken breast and make it for 2 people. That's more than enough right there for 2 people. So, but, this recipe is really pretty simple. It's pretty easy. So I'm just chopping up my chicken breasts. And like I said, I didn't know if how many I would need. And it doesn't hurt to make some extra chicken breasts. And once you cook them, you can always use them for whatever meals you're going to use them for. Or you can put them in the freezer and use them later. Which is probably what I'll do with the other 2. So I think this will be enough. I'm pretty sure it will. Okay, and then you want to just kind of break up the bigger pieces. It doesn't need to be perfect, but okay. So, I think that's probably, like I said, you don't want to cook these. You just want to kind of soften them up some and get them started cooking so that when they're in the enchiladas, they'll cook the rest of the way in the oven. So that's kind of what I've done here. Alright, I think that smells really good. Oh man, it does smell really good. Okay, so for the chicken, you're gonna if I can carefully balance this thing, you're gonna put your chicken in a bowl, in a pretty good sized bowl, because you're going to need to mix all this stuff up. So you need the room to be able to do that. The one thing I hate is when you start something and you realize that the bowl you have is too small. I'd rather start with a bowl that might be too big than have to find one later that's, and then you got 2 dirty bowls and there you go. So, this way you don't have to worry about it. Alright, like I said, you want to make sure it's all kind of just cut up in bite-sized pieces. Alright, now, to the chicken, I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. And I'm using kosher salt, but you can use any kind of salt you want. You know, pink Himalayan or table salt or whatever. A teaspoon of cumin, which you want to go light on. I go light on this. Some people really like the strong cumin. It's okay, but I don't want too much of it. And then you're gonna use a teaspoon of garlic, and you're gonna use a teaspoon of smoked paprika. So, and also it calls for a teaspoon of chipotle seasoning, but I'm not using that. So, not for us anyway. And then I'm using 1 can of Rotel in with the chicken. And I saved the juice in it because it'll marry up with the rest of the stuff. Here in a minute, you'll see what I'm talking about. So, you're just going to give that a good mix. Oh man, it smells so good. I'm telling you, it really does. There's nothing like it. Okay. Yeah, it seems like we've been kind of on a Mexican food kick lately. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's warmer weather and we're in Texas and I don't know. But it just sounds good. And I'd rather make it at home because I know what's in it. I mean, there are a few places around here. Don't get me wrong. There are some places around here that are just fantastic. And I love to go out. But I also like to make it at home because then, you know, it feeds more people. All right. Then to this, which is the chicken and the spices and the Rotel, I'm going to add these veggies. Okay. Now, this is going to be my filling for my enchiladas. That's it. It's that simple. Okay, this is the filling. Now, you're going to let this cool off a little bit, and then I'm going to add, well, it's almost cool. All right. Yeah, I knew if I had the chicken was cold, and so I put the warmed veggies on top of it, and it's kind of room temperature now. It's not too bad. But you want to add about 2 cups of shredded cheese. You can use any kind of shredded cheese you want. I'm using the taco blend kind, but you can certainly shred your own, and, you know, Monterey Jack and cheddar and whatever else, you know, you want to use, but you want to use about 2 cups of cheese for the inside of the enchiladas. And then, of course, there'll be more cheese on the outside. So just give that a quick stir. Kind of mix it up a little bit. All right, there's my filling for my enchiladas. Oh, man, it smells fantastic, guys. I'm not kidding. It really does. Okay. So, anyway, then we're going to set that over there. And to this, I'm sorry about the barking dogs, guys. I really am. You know, I don't know. We have dogs. I can't help it. So, you know, I hope you can hear me over the barking dogs, but if you can't, well, I messed up, didn't I? Okay, so I'm using half of a 24-ounce container of sour cream. So 16 ounces, probably, something like that. Whatever. Math is not my strong point, you know. So I'm using half a container of that. Now, some of the sour cream enchilada recipes that are out there call for you to make a roux, which is equal parts of butter and flour, and then add your sour cream to it and make it that way. Well, I found an easier and actually I think a much tastier way to do it, and that's I use cream of chicken soup. And believe it or not, it tastes fantastic with Mexican food. It really does. So I use a can of that. a little bit of milk. Not much, just a little bit. To kind of loosen it up. And of course, I forgot to get the milk out. So, okay. I'm going to say 1/4 of a cup, maybe. Maybe not even that much. You'll know by feel, I guess. More than anything. Where are all my... Oh, here I am. Okay, here's my whisk. Okay, and then you're just going to whisk this together till it becomes your sauce. Oh, I forgot the most important part, guys. See? A 4-ounce can of chopped green chilies. I forgot about that. You got to have that. That's what makes it good. That's what makes it good. So, I'm using the Hatch green chilies, but you can use any green chilies you want, but I just prefer the taste of the Hatch ones. So, anyway. Okay, so we're just going to mix this up until it becomes a sauce. It's that easy. And like I said, you may have to add a little more milk. You can always add more milk, but it's hard to add less if you put too much in there. So you want to start off with just a little bit. And then just gradually add it until it gets to the consistency that you want it to be. Okay? And just mix it. Oh, this smells good too. Man, it's going to be layers on layers of flavor. That's what makes this thing so good. It really does. Okay. Yeah, I think I want to add just a little bit more milk to it. It's still a little bit too thick. So, there we go. Now then. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's still pretty thick, but it's gonna thin down as it cooks. You know, once the juices from the inside of the enchiladas marry up with the sauce that's on top, it'll all become a ooey gooey delicious mess. That's the plan. So, anyway, we have a 13 by 9 pan, which I'm going to spray with cooking spray. And there again, you can use any kind of cooking spray you want. Or you can use butter or just oil. You know, vegetable oil, whatever. Okay. Now. Oh, you're there. I thought I lost my tortillas. Okay. I made a proper mess of this kitchen, guys. I'm telling you. Okay. How do I get these things open? Don't you hate that when it's hard to get the bread ties off or the tortilla ties or whatever? Sometimes it's a pain in the butt. Okay. So, I'm just going to start by doing this right here. And let's do it this way so that way you can see what I'm doing here. Maybe. Okay. Back it up just a little bit. I'm not a very professional camera person. I told you that already. Okay. So, you're just going to take a scoop of your filling and put it in the middle. And then you're just going to try to roll it as tight as you can. Like that. Okay. And then you're going to place it seam side down in the pan. And like I said, you should be able to get 12 to 14 in a 13 by 9 pan. You know. You should be able to. Or you can get more if you make them smaller. You know, if you don't put as much filling in them. Which, you know, I don't know why you do that. I guess to spread it out if you have a bunch of people that you didn't know were coming over or something. I don't know if that ever happens to anybody else, but it always used to happen to me. When the kids were younger, they're like, oh, well, well, so-and-so's going to come for dinner. I'd be like, oh, okay. And then my husband would call, and he'd be like, oh, well, I'm bringing so-and-so home for dinner at, like, 4:30. And I'm like, okay. I'll make dinner go farther than it needs to. So, just kind of squish them in there in the pan. It doesn't have to be fancy or perfect or nothing else, because they're just going to cook in there anyway. So, you know. And it's going to become one, like I said, one big gooey mess. So, there we go. Oh man, I just can't get over how good this stuff smells. And it hasn't even cooked yet. So that's a good sign. That's a real good sign. Huh. So how do you guys like it? Do you like enchiladas at all? Or if you do, what kind do you like? There's beef and chicken and pork, and I've had shrimp enchiladas. They were delicious. So, you know, the possibilities are endless. And I've also had vegan enchiladas, which were really good too. The tortillas were a little bit different because the texture, I guess, because there were no flour or eggs or anything. They were gluten-free and vegan. So I don't know what that means. I didn't ask. I just ate it. And it was pretty good. You know, it was pretty good. So I've got quite a mess going on here. I'm glad you can't see that part, because trust me, my counter is a disaster right now. So, there we go. Okay. Looks like I'm going to be able to get probably 2 more in here when it's all said and done. So let me get 2 more tortillas. And, you know, you can make more than one pan. You can make these ahead of time and freeze them before you bake them. You know, which I love that idea. You guys know that. A lot of my recipes are really freezer friendly. So, okay. Here we go. Now, that's the last one. And what I'm going to do is the rest of this I'll put in a container and stick it where? In the freezer! And use it next time I want to make tortillas or enchiladas. Okay, there we go. Now, I've got these in the pan. So let's go a little closer now. Okay, so I've got my enchiladas rolled up in the pan with all the filling on there. And then I'm going to take this delicious sauce that I made, and I'm going to put it, just pour it over the top of these enchiladas. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, you know, because it's all going to cook in the oven at 350 for about 30-35 minutes until really good and bubbly. So there you go. So what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of smoothing out the sauce so it's all over the enchiladas, because that's the best part. You want it everywhere. Okay. There we go. Now then, because they're sour cream enchiladas, it calls for white cheese. Well, most of the recipes tell you to use Monterey Jack or Oaxaca or something like that, which I don't have any of that. So I'm using mozzarella. I know that sounds weird, mozzarella cheese with Mexican food, but it's really good. And mozzarella melts really well. So, okay. Again, boy, I was ready, wasn't I? So just, you can use any kind of cheese you want to use. You could use yellow cheese if you want. I have sharp cheddar in there, but it's supposed to look white on the top. So I don't know why. I guess because it's sour cream, but whatever. So there you go. You just put the cheese on the top, and you're going to bake it. Like I said, you're going to bake it in the oven at 350 for about 35 minutes until it's all melty and bubbly and delicious. So that's it. That's how easy it was, guys. And I did it in no time. So we're going to have that for supper tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tin foil on this and stick it in the refrigerator. And then when it gets closer to time for the boys to get home, I'll pop it in the oven and it'll be good to go. So thanks for watching. As always, I love each and every one of you. And I hope you're having a great day where you are.